It's really my lucky day because I have two of the most iconic figures in wellness in studio. Padma Shri Chef Sanjeev Kapoor. It's such a delight to see you face to face,
Thank you.
Virtual hugs are just
I know.
passe now.
Completely passe.
They don't feel good also.
They don't feel good. And India's leading holistic health guru and corporate life coach, Mickey Mehta. How are you, Mix?
Super. I'm so excited to be next to two stalwarts, one of the radio and one of the kitchen.
Now, if you're seeing us digitally, you'll see this. This is Immunity Plus Revitalise in 28 days. It's a wonderful collaboration between Dr. Mickey Mehta and Sanjeev Kapoor. And I must start with the personal before the professional. Can you jog your memory back, your fine memory, and tell me how long you know Mickey and when did this association first start?
Oh my God, I've known him from early 90s, I think.
Very much, very much.
Yeah, so early 90s. I was still a working chef in a hotel, and Mickey was the rising star. I was still working as a poor surveyor. Said, this is your butter paneer masala, this is your naan, sir, good morning, sir, good evening, sir. And Mickey was the rising star. So from then on, I would say we have been in touch, and then I think few years ago that first acquaintance turned into familiarity, then friendship. But I've always admired Mickey for what he has done over the years, and he has stayed ahead of everything, including age. I think that's what if somebody has to learn that how not to age, that's him. And so I thought that it's better to be in close proximity of such people and try and get more. So when this offer for this book came in through a common friend and publisher, Buccal, I grabbed it with both hands.
And Mickey, in that aspect, you must share the same feeling of camaraderie,
Absolutely.
of oneness with this remarkable man. He could easily have been talking about himself,
Absolutely.
about turning back the clock.
He is very generous. Also on public forums, he does recognize my work and supports me a lot. And not only that, like his career started with Makhan Wala Paneer and Makhan Wali Dal, but career has put a lot of makhan on his career. And he is today one of the world's biggest known chefs. And I'm truly proud that not only that, he could be an equivalent or better than any food scientist because he understands food like nobody does. This was the very reason, and that's the very reason he works with very many multinationals too, to develop their products not just for marketing and endorsing, but to advise, guide them on the development, sourcing, and of course marketing genius. That's him.
They always say that it takes 28 days, sir, to make a habit. Is that the reason why Immunity Revitalise has 28 days as its core?
So I think this 28 days, the intent is that it is something, it's goal setting, it's something that's reasonable, it's not something that is forever. And if you want to achieve something, anything, you need to set a goal for yourself. And we believe that in 28 days, there can be a reasonable transformation that you can begin to see. So that is the importance of 28 days. Mickey, your take?
Yeah.
Mickey, I just want to add something to this.
Yes.
Normally people write only about fitness or about food. I think one really unique thing about this book is that it combines both aspects. So from that, use that as a platform to talk about immunity.
So food without fitness and fitness without food, I mean, they literally are very alone in the desert. And when they come together, they complement each other, and the confluence of both completes a person's journey of wellness. To start with. Number two, 28 days of the moon phases. The moon becomes complete, weaning, waxing. So that cycle also internally are bioclocks of a circadian rhythm. But let me tell you, the genius idea of 28 days was Sanjeev's. Also this title, Immunity Plus, that you guys see, it is his marketing genius which said, because I was saying immunity for humanity. He's saying, bhai, let's keep it simple. Immunity plus and plus sign. This truly changed the landscape of the perception of the book. So very, happy that it changed that way, and thank you.
Science of prana. And the science of prana is created both through exercise as well as food. Sanjeev sir, I'd like you to talk about food and how it brings about prana.
See, I think food is a living thing, says it all. If there is something that has life, prana is nothing but life. So I would say this book is an attempt. I wouldn't even say this is a beginning, this is an attempt. The subject is much larger, but we want to keep it really simple. We don't want to complicate. We have done it in a way that people get it, because we are trying to get it first. So whatever we have learned, we are trying to say, okay, here it is, learn from what we have learned. And I would say that I'm happy with what we have done. My prana is happy.
It confounds me that you still say you're learning. Your humility really is astounding, and I hope everybody who's watching and listening learns from that. Mickey, as far as prana is concerned, I want to ask you about vegetarianism, because you are vegetarian, and all the recipes in this book, I'm given to understand, are also vegetarian.
Yeah. Most of them.
Most of them. So I'd like you to talk about that aspect, please.
So why most of them, and why not in entirety? For a simple reason, we wanted to cater also to people who eat meat by choice, and there's nothing wrong in that. But prana in vegetarian food in particular is the cleanest, because we say clean food, clean energy, green food, green energy. The whole movement of vegetarianism, PETA, veganism today focuses on clean health, clean energy within. Prana is the energy from the source, energy that gives you force, and prana existed even before the Big Bang existed, and it's because of the prana that Big Bang happened. And because of that prana, we will go beyond this life, beyond dimensions, and as many pralayas ever happen, prana will remain constant. So prana is the driving force of all life force, all expanded awareness, consciousness, whatever we may call, and it is the basis for our wellness and well-being.
I'd like to come to foods that boost your immunity. Much has been said about what's going on in our gut, and good bacteria, bad bacteria, and I'm sure the book deals with that, and some of the recipes that you give out.
Sure. So I think, as I said, that we only look at food in a very primitive way, I would say, and our understanding is something what we see, but there are many things that we don't see at all. What kind of food that we are buying, what is our sourcing, what kind of things that we are buying, and but that's something which becomes very difficult to control. So we say, okay, how large group of people, the way they live in cities, or be small or big, the kind of food they are eating, and with that, what is available, the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, and the food that is available to us, how can we become better? How can our immunity become better? Is what we have tried here. So now anything and everything, I normally say this, that food by themselves, they are not bad. It's who is it for, who is eating, what condition you are in. It's the body, whether they can, that body can digest it, it is good for them or not. But otherwise, food by themselves, no. How you treat that food. If you treat that food with tender love and care, that tender love and care will pass on to you. Everything has some goodness. How we focus on it, how we extract that best for us is our ability, and that's what we are trying to put in this book.
Beautiful. You, for example, when you talk about boosting immunity, talk about clearing the nasal passage and the lungs.
Very much.
I want you to emphasize the importance of that, because that goes hand in hand with the foods that Chef Sanjeev was talking about.
Yeah. So if you look at biochemistry, we have more than 6,000 pockets of air in our lungs. We have 5 lobes of lungs. We have a diaphragm which has the potential to move almost 12-13 centimeters. So when this is underutilized, to its only 10-15% capacity, then your immunity is compromised. But when this capacity is taken higher with a lot of breath work. So I always say breath is primary to immunity, food is fundamental to immunity, and both are equally good. I mean, one is yin, one the other is yang. So breath and food, they go together. Literally, if you see subconsciously when we eat, we do breathe in, breathe out, not consciously, but there's a way that, when you eat, while you chew the food. But if you were to do it very consciously, that food translates into prana and more yield of prana is available to you. Sanjeev taught me a very, very good thing at a very private dinner hosted by him. Some food came to me and I said this. He's saying, when food comes to you, receive it with grace, because food needs respect. And it's coming to you. And that taught me a very, very big lesson of my life. I did receive it, because that translates into nourishment as well. When food accepted, received in grace, and had consumed with reverence, with being absolute, that has to translate into immunity. So, coming back to breath is primary, food is fundamental, stretching and contracting your body. Let me not call it calisthenics, let me not call it yoga for a change, let me not call it weight training or functional training. You need to stretch your body, open up. You need to contract your body for strength. You have to stretch your body for resilience. When you stretch your body, oxygen-laden, nutrient-laden blood gets inside all your organs. When you contract it, it oozes out. So that's the way you keep the circulatory pace exactly to the point, and most importantly, your cellular regeneration happens exactly like a clockwork. The lag in cellular regeneration is disease, aging. This is what causes that. If you keep it up, then probably you're a Baba Ramdev.
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
Yes.
Hrishi, you talked about gut, and I know there's a lot that is written, a lot of research that is happening about the gut microbiota. I think we need to understand that our digestive system, it starts from our mouth. That is where it starts. It's not after you have eaten, after. It is when the food is in your mouth. It's a very important part. So, it's something that the enzymes that are there, they start right from there. And when we talk about mouth-watering food, it is the right enzymes have started. They start their work. And I just want to spend 1 minute on the importance of teeth and the buccal cavity that is there. So when you eat and chew your food, people say chew your food. People think that it is, if I were to puree it and have it, then what is the point of chewing, right? It is same. That's what teeth are doing. It is not only masquerading the food. It is ensuring that food stays in our mouth for much longer time. Now, what does it do? Why should I keep all that food when I'm chewing? So what it does is that before it goes to your digestive system, buccal cavity, the nerve ends are such that all the food that is now become it's opened up, all the nutrients are available, they'll go directly into blood. They'll start their work. It's like modern medicine, you put it on your tongue and leave it there. What does happen? It's not intravenous injection that's happening. It starts to work, it goes directly into your blood. So if you want nutrients to start working before they can go into your stomach, and the strong stomach acids start playing, and not everything beneficial may happen, there some loss of nutrients that may happen. Chew your food, not only because stomach has no teeth, because you will give it time for all the nutrients to directly go into the bloodstream.
Another opportunity for you to win yourself a book, Immunity Plus by Dr. Mickey Mehta and Sanjeev Kapoor. Just tell us how many days they say you can revitalize yourself in. The number of days, very simple. Give us the number along with your name on 9833 943 943, our WhatsApp line, 9833 943 943. Mickey, Chef Sanjeev Kapoor has fed prime ministers.
Yes.
They love his food, and what I like is the simplicity of the all the menus that he's put out here, all the recipes that he's put out here, you can take simple cauliflower, tomato, palak, which is cabbage, and build your immunity and revitalize in 28 days. So I'd like you to comment on that. He's a humble man. He's not going to say too much about his own proficiency, but it's a well-known fact.
So whenever, much before dinner, I always, while surfing channels, I always stumble upon food. And whenever I see food, I mean, more often I see Sanjeev or his other chefs showing the food, I start watering. My mouth starts watering, then I go to the table to eat. So that's one good exercise I do as a warm-up. By the way, I mean, incidentally, Sanjeev did one interview. He interviewed Sadhguruji in Coimbatore, and they cooked food together. He'll tell you more about it later. But let me tell you something more about food here. That Pavlovian theory, where there was a scientific experiment where dogs were, put bells on, and the bell would ring, and the food would be laid, and the dog would eat.
Correct.
After a while, they did that for a long time. Then, without the food, they would only, move the bell, and the dog would salivate. So, food, as he says, that mouth becomes a very important point of digestion because of salivation. So, eat, as Sanjeev said, there are so many words I heard, learned from him for the first time. Buccal cavity. Stomach doesn't have teeth. So, that wisdom goes beyond a nutritionist, and we have the best nutritionists like Rujuta Divakar and Luke Coutinho and Pooja Makija and our queen Anjali Mukherjee, but I'm sure Sanjeev will add so much of wisdom to their information, science and knowledge that they will learn for life.
I thought you'll talk about him feeding the Prime Minister.
So now coming to the point, I wish I could coach the Prime Minister, but it's no wonder because Sanjeev had one morning invited me for breakfast with one of my very close friends, Nikhil Morsawala, and that breakfast was phenomenal. And knowing that I'm vegetarian, special care was taken to make everything vegetarian, everything, and it was fresh, superb, and very, very nourishing. And no wonder Mr. Modi even chooses to write about him and invites him time and time again, especially when there are national banquets.
Okay, I like the fact, Sanjeev sir, that there's a section about aromatherapy, essential oils, and the sun and the moon. I'd like you to talk about that.
Yeah, I think he's an expert on that. He loves that area, and he's more passionate, I must say.
Even before he enters the room, you can smell his oils.
Oh my God, he is. So, I must also confess that I said, I'm under perfumed in presence of him. So what do I do? So I checked my car. Is there anything that I have? No, I didn't have that. I said, okay. So I would like him to, because that's his passion project. I work on this subject scientifically. I can say that how in food we work with this. But on this book's account, I think it's important that he talks about.
While Sanjeev does a lot of research on the aromas of the food, but let me talk to you about the other part of it. So, Panch Mahabhutas, our elements, our tattvas, they get stimulated by all sensory perceptions. So, may it be harsha, sparsha, touch, taste, olfactory, audio, visual, all stimulate you and they create an appetite. They also create a lust for food. So food could be either humming or it could be beckoning. If the food is clean, green, vibrant, it will be humming. It will draw you. If it is beckoning, it will kind of create a lust for it, appetite for it, where you can, go beyond the markers of your satiety signals also. So, aromas are very, very important, and especially if you see our Indian way of cooking, which I'm sure Sanjeev will endorse, and I've seen this a lot on Food channel, that they work on condiments, they work on spices, and our Indian condiments and spices, Sanjeev does a lot of television programming on that too, a lot of research on the sources and the effects. Trust me, they add a lot of value to your wellness. Okay? Aroma itself can change your sensory perception and make you feel better. You try and take an orange, you peel it off and smell the orange rind. Your depression will turn into a high. And it will not be a momentary high like what you get with, smelling other things like unnatural perfumes, etc. But that high is to remain, and it will make you feel good, creative, productive, and it literally liberates energy into you. So aromas also liberate energy because aromas also fulfill your nourishment and nutrient requirements. So unfortunately food doesn't have sound, but visual, aroma, touch, taste, they all stimulate collectively, and as an orchestration, that food creates a symphony in you which translates into nutrients and vitality.
Wow.
Okay.
Way with words.
Fantastic. Oh, he is brilliant.
Yeah, you know, we met another radio presenter outside who was talking about intermittent fasting and who insisted
Just
if
before
I do
you came
that,
in,
I
yeah.
will drop kilos.
Right.
So I said I had to. I think that's a even better way to round up. What do you gentlemen feel about intermittent fasting?
My thing on, see, weight loss is just one of the things, and that's I think it's how people perceive you. So many people who have more weight is not because they feel they have more weight. It's people around them make them feel that they have more weight.
true
It's a
that.
perceptible problem more than the real problem at times. It's the how healthy you feel. And if there is extra weight that you have, start throwing your weight around. You will find different ways to do it.
That's very well said, very well said.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I do have a comment on this, that it has become an unnecessary rage. That's number one. And unless you have challenging wellness conditions, or unless you are struggling with obesity, I wouldn't tell people to get onto intermittent fasting. Do that if you wish, maybe once in 15 days, or twice in a month, or thrice a month max. But otherwise, eat whenever you're hungry. Sanjeev once said in one of the interviews we did together, कि कोई चीज़ की अति ना हो. So not too much. So whenever you're hungry and you eat, that's very, very good for your body. Of course, science says that intermittent fasting, which otherwise people call it autophagy, and a step before that is called macrophagy, it helps us consume our own toxins should we allow space in the body. And autophagy typically balances one element which nothing else can balance, which is the ether, akasha. But only if you have a condition. Don't just do it because somebody else is doing it. And eat whenever you're hungry. Last thing I'd like to tell you about one thing which is very close to my heart. Everybody is on the bandwagon of walking 10,000 steps. So I tell people that if you walk 10,000 steps every day, someday you will reach the sun and the moon, but you will not build immunity for winters, summers and monsoons. For that, do yoga.
Well said. Immunity Plus, Revitalise in 28 days by Dr. Mickey Mehta and Sanjeev Kapoor is in all on-ground as well as online stores. Please go buy it. Thank you, gentlemen. It's such a pleasure, such a learning experience.
One last thing. Sanjeev had come up with a wonderful line while we were planning for the marketing of this. He's saying in 28 days, feel good, look great and perform better.
And like you always say, Mickey Mice.
Oh, yeah. Get immunized, get Mickey Mice.
Mickey Mice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.